Hi guys, tonight we're going to look at the second part of our biopsychology unit. Yesterday we looked at the brain and neurons and neurotransmitters and how information gets transferred and processed in the brain. Today we're going to look at how the brain receives information from the rest of the body. So this is called the inner and outer parts of the nervous system. So the nervous system is divided into two different parts. The main part is called the central nervous system, and this consists of the brain and the spinal cord. That's it. So just the brain and the spinal cord, that's the central nervous system. And as you can see, it's located centrally in our spinal cord, our spinal column, I should say. So the central nervous system makes decisions for the body. So all the information that we get from the rest of the body gets processed up our central nervous system into our brain, so our brain can figure out what to do with that information. The other part of the nervous system in general is the peripheral nervous system. So this consists of the rest of the nervous system, as you can see. The peripheral nervous system gathers and sends information to and from the rest of the body. So the peripheral nervous system is what collects information through our senses, and the central nervous system is what processes that information and sends it to the brain. Alright? So the central nervous system is centrally located. The peripheral nervous system is peripherally located, or located on the outskirts. So central, periphery. Easy to remember. Now, this nervous system can be broken down even further. So as we said, the central nervous system consists of just the brain and the spinal cord. However, the peripheral nervous system, we can see, has two different subdivisions. The first one is called the autonomic part of the nervous system, and this controls self-regulated action of internal organs and glands. So this is all involuntary stuff that we don't have to think about. We don't have to think about how our liver works or how our stomach digests or how our heart pumps. This is the autonomic system, meaning that it just runs by itself. We don't have to do anything. But there's also the somatic part, and this controls all voluntary movements of skeletal muscles. So I'm choosing to move my hand. Oh, there we go. That was a somatic response. So somatic controls voluntary movements, and autonomic controls self-regulated action, meaning things that just happen without our choosing to do so. So things that are automatic processes are included in this autonomic system. So we can further subdivide the autonomic system even further into these two systems called the sympathetic system and the parasympathetic system. So the autonomic nervous system, as we said, can be divided into two. And as you see here, one side could be called the sympathetic nervous system, and that has to do with everything that arouses us or gets us awake and alert and prepared. So it has certain physiological responses. It dilates your pupils, it accelerates your heartbeat, it lets you, or it keeps you from digesting stuff, you release more glucose, you secrete more epinephrine and norepinephrine, your bladder might release, and it may stimulate ejaculation if you're a male. So the sympathetic nervous system has to do with fight or flight responses. So these are sort of really basic to our survival as human beings. On the other side, we have the parasympathetic nervous system, and this does the opposite. It calms us rather than bringing us to this alert, aware state. This is sort of when we're resting and processing and our body's doing its thing. So our pupils contract, our heartbeat slows, digestion is stimulated rather than inhibited. The gallbladder rather than the liver is stimulated. You actually contract the bladder rather than releasing it, and it allows blood to flow to the sex organs. So the sympathetic calms us. It has to do with resting and digestion and anything that happens when we're just sort of processing and allowing our body to do its natural processes. The sympathetic nervous system, on the other side, has to do with this fight or flight response when we are choosing what we are going to do in a very kind of stressful moment. So we're going to be looking at both of these in the future, and particularly the sympathetic nervous system, because we can really unpack how these stressful situations in life affects us physically. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's a short lecture tonight. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all Monday morning.